Good afternoon. We're going to do the watch list for next week, which is May 18th. Before we get into the watch list, I just want to make a quick statement that I will be transitioning to a new YouTube channel for versatile trades. So the link will be in the description. If you're in the Discord room, there's a social media tab. You can go in there. The link will be in there too. So go to the new channel, subscribe to it. The videos that are already out on this old channel will still be there, so all the video lessons that are out will stay viewable. You'll be able to see them, so you will not lose anything. Just all new content, probably starting this week, will be transitioned to the new channel, so make sure you subscribe to the new channel. So now that we get that out of the way, I'm going to go over the watch list. There's a few tickets here and there. Right now the futures is up like $6, so it's not that much. It's pretty flat, so it's at a tough spot too, at 286.60 level. That's pretty tough for futures, so it could be a flat open, or so we'll have to see what happens overnight. But anyways, Roku is on the bullish side for next week, actually this week, and I'm liking it here. If it gets over the, let's see, the 116 level, I think it gets pushed to the 120s and even into the 125s. It's been downtrending. You can see this falling wedge right here, which is, once it breaks, it'll be bullish, and it could have a nice good run. And Roku has a pretty good run at these levels. The last time it was at this level, I mean, it went from 112 to 140 in 4 days. So Roku could be gearing up for a big pop, but if it doesn't reverse over the 116 and the market's red, I mean, it could dump down into the 104, the support, gap up support. So that is a scenario too you have to watch out for. But I do like Roku for a bounce if the market's strong. BA is another one. Boeing, I know Boeing just is at a critical level, and it just seems to keep going lower and lower. But I think eventually, with the economy opening back up, airlines will start turning around. I don't know about the cruise ships. I mean, they could be too, the cruise liners, but I'm not going to pay too much attention to that sector. But the airlines, you need airlines for business and traveling, but you don't need cruise lines. So I don't think they're as important as the airlines. So BA, I would watch for over a, let's see, 122 to get to 125 and even to the 130 range. It gets over the 130, it's going to go to 135, even perhaps 140 if there's a lot of strength. If BA gets any momentum, it's going to take off. So I would definitely keep an eye on BA. Disney is another one. I mean, I showed that last week, and it was one of my loss from last week, but I don't care, whatever. Time to move on. But if the market's strong over 109, it's gonna break out. I mean, you get this little, I don't know what you want to call it. Let's see. Yeah, you could say it's a somewhat inverted head and shoulders right here on the daily. I mean, left shoulder, head, right. I mean, it's not the greatest look, but I definitely do like it. If it breaks out, it's gonna go up and probably retest the 112s. And if it gets any more strength over the 112s, we could get to, let's see, 117 into the 120s. It all depends on how strong the momentum is and what the market's doing, but I do think that Disney will break out on the hourly, so I would watch for a push over 110 into the 112s on Disney. Now Spotify, oops, same thing, it's got the same kind of look. I think if it gets over the 169, it's going to break out and retest the 164 area, which is just all-time highs. Let's see. No, it's not. But look at the weekly though. It gets over the 160. Even this level is even broken over this one and this one, but if it gets over 162, this thing could take off and get into the 170. So Spotify is something I would watch. I haven't traded it in a long time, so I'm not quite sure what the spread looks like options wise. So I'll have to take a look at that tomorrow. But Spotify, definitely watch. McDonald's is another one. I mean, obviously, with the economy opening up, restaurants are going to start opening up. I think that, I don't know if the restaurant's going to start opening up this week or not. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. If it's not this week, it's probably going to be next week. So I would watch McDonald's over the 175 for a push into the 179 area. It gets into 179, 180, 182. So and if it gets to 182, it's probably going to pull back a little bit. But that's what I would be watching for on McDonald's over 175. A lot of these stocks, if the market's good, it's gonna rebound out the markets. The economy's starting to open back up. Also like Triple M, 3M. If it gets over, let's see, let me just look at the weekly really quick. I do think it will have a nice bottom bounce, even though it is trending down, but it's at the bottom of the Keltner channel on the weekly, so I do like that. Worst case scenario, it pulls back a little bit before it does take off, so I would watch 3M over 139 for a push into probably the 145s. It could fill the gap right into the 142, so definitely watch 3M. They do make the masks, and even though the economy's reopening, I think that people are going to be paranoid about being in public. They're going to buy more masks, and they're going to I think the craze for the mask is going to accelerate, if anything, because before a lot of people were staying home. Now the people are going to have the ability to go out and wander around. There's going to be a new demand for the 3M masks, so I would keep an eye on them. Speaking of demand, BYND, Beyond Meat, there's a beef shortage right now, even though it's not really talked about that much, but it is happening. And if there's a beef shortage, that's definitely going to help Beyond Meat, because Beyond Meat's plant-based. So even though, in my opinion, it's gross, but whatever. My opinion don't matter about the way it tastes. The way it moves, on the other hand, I think that the demand for Beyond Meat will accelerate, and I think it could easily retest the all-time highs again because of the meat shortage. Well, actually, no, not the all-time highs. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that the all-time highs was 239. But it will definitely retest over the 150. So if it does get over 136, I would say, it's going to push for a move to 150. If it can get into the 150s, 150's got a lot of resistance right here on the weekly. So if it does happen to get over that, I mean, it can get into the 170s. So Beyond Meat, I think that the meat shortage, if it starts to pick up steam, it's gonna Beyond Meat's gonna take off. So definitely watch that. Now on the short side, if the market's weak, some of the ones I like on the short side, one is Target TGT. You get a gap fill right here. So there's going to be a lot of resistance on TGT at 124, 123, and if it does get below the I would even say the 118. If it gets below 118, it's gonna, let's see where it can go. It can go to, I would say a target will probably be right around 114 to 113. 111, but it could go all the way down to 110 if it starts picking up steam. So I would, the market's weak, look at Target. Also, Wayfair W is one I'd be watching. I mean, it's got this huge earnings gap up, and it's right at the gap support right now. And if the market's weak and it gets below that 165 level, it's gonna make a run for the gap. So I would definitely keep an eye on Wayfair. I think I looked at it last week, and the spreads were nasty, so I couldn't alert it, and I couldn't take it. So it's not worth the risk for the members to get into a massive nasty spread and lose their shirt on it. So I like to try to be conservative about what I pick, so people don't lose their money or whatever. So FDX is another one I'm looking at. I mean, it is right at this 108 level, and if the market's weak, I think it can get under 100, possibly even retest this 96 area again if it gets any steam. Netflix is another one. Now I know Netflix, I mean, you get a huge divergence on Netflix. I mean, this divergence is everywhere, so It's, you can pick and choose. They're everywhere, but I'm picking Netflix because, you know, I'm expecting a lot of these companies that did really, really well during the coronavirus, that they will start losing steam when the economy opens up. More people are going to be away from their home. People aren't going to be using Amazon as much because they're actually going to go out to retail stores. They're actually going to go to restaurants. They're actually going to go do stuff. They're not going to be at home watching TV as much. So I think that all the companies that have benefited greatly from the coronavirus, which is far and few, like Amazon, Netflix, Disney, Facebook, people are just going to not be doing that stuff anymore. They're going to start withering away from it. So I would look for, let's see, under 450 on Netflix and make a run for probably the 420s. And if it does manage to get really weak, I could probably go down to the 400. So Netflix, I would keep an eye on. Humana, HUM. I mean, every time I look on the hourly and every time it peaks out over the Keltner channel on the hourly, it pulls back. So I think that it gets under 394. It's going to pull back to the 380s. So I do like this little rising channel it's got going on. Let's see what the weekly looks like. So I would look at it from under 395. Yeah, I mean, look at this. I mean, this is just crazy. 2 weeks. It's got almost 100%. And not 2 weeks, sorry. But 2 months, it's gone 100% from 200 to 400. That's just crazy. So Humana's one short. The other one is SQ Square. And same kind of scenarios. A lot of resistance right here in the $80 range. If it does manage to break under, let's see, 79, look for it to test 75. And if it breaks down from 75, I would look for it right around 72. So Square, I do like that. I mean, you have like a little bit of a divergence on the histogram as it's rising up, but like I said, divergences are everywhere. So let's see, NVIDIA is another one, and that's just, you get a huge divergence going on right here, there. Let's see what that looks like on the weekly. I think the semiconductors are due for a pullback. They can keep going, but I'm just thinking that they're going to pull back a little. So I would watch it under 330, probably 333, and retest the 323 level because it broke out. Usually they like to come back and retest the areas it broke out of. So that's what I'm looking for on NVIDIA. The last one is PayPal. And PayPal, I mean, the same thing. It's up on earnings if the market's weak. It breaks this, I would look at it underneath the 144 level for a 142 and retest this gap support right here at 140. It's already tested it once, so if it tests it again and consolidates around it, it's probably going to fill the gap. But it could also just come back and just retest it before it goes up again. So gap support is very important. It's only touched it once. Usually it likes to touch it at least once to 2 times. So if it comes down again and just consolidates, then it's going to probably do a gap fill. But I would watch PayPal. So that's going to do it for the watch list. And like I said, make sure that you subscribe to the new YouTube channel. And like I said, the links will be in the Discord room and in the description of the video. So that's going to be it. Thanks.